This week on Dirt Every Day, we put a Cummins diesel in this Jeep. We're gonna drive the whole thing across this pond. You guys remember Tube Sock, our 97 Jeep Wrangler TJ? Well, this Jeep has been all over the place. We've had it in Moab, we took it to Hawaii, I even let my camera crew drive it, and after that, the thing was a giant mess. The Jeep has been used and abused, it's run a bunch of different trails, and it's time for a refresh. So I tore the thing down, and I've got a crazy stunt that I want to do with this Jeep. I want to drive it underwater, and to do that, I'm going to put a brand new engine under the hood and brand new drivetrain parts. This is a brand new Cummins diesel engine. We're gonna stick in Tube Sock, and everybody wants to see a diesel-powered Jeep. Hey, Rob.
Brad,
What do you think?
what happened to this Jeep that was totally a together working Jeep?
Well, you know, I decided to do an engine swap.
Why not? It worked great.
So I called you in here because you have a boat. And
I do have a boat.
I'm gonna drive this Jeep underwater.
Yeah, sure, okay. All right, I'm on board.
I ripped everything out because I want to drive it underwater, but I want to be able to get out of it in case we have any issues underwater.
Okay.
Also, I got these best top seats. It had those really nice racing seats in it, but I wanted nothing around me. Cage is out, seats will mount in there. They're really simple. They're just like basic vinyl seats. This is what you'd put in an old CJ.
They're pretty boat-like.
Yeah.
I like that. I'd
You
put
like
this in my
boats?
boat.
Yeah. It's gonna be brilliant. So here, put these in there, and I'm gonna go work on the engine.
Let's go back to work on my boat.
So this is our engine. This is a Cummins 4-cylinder, and this is Steve. Steve's from Cummins. Steve, what can you tell me about this 4-cylinder?
All right, so this is the ISF 2.8 liter. We use this all over the world. We use it here in the States right now in a lot of industrial equipment, mini excavators. This engine is about 540 pounds. So the traditional 4BT that everyone talks about and loves is about 300 pounds heavier than that. But it's a little bit too big and too heavy and cumbersome to put in a Jeep like Tube Sock.
What type of power numbers are we looking at?
So this one in its stock form is around 160 horsepower. It's about 266, 267 foot-pounds of torque, which that's low-end torque. So you're getting that around 1,600 RPM, and that torque range is pretty broad, falls off around 3,000 RPM.
So what we're getting here is we still have a small package like the engine that was in Tube Sock, but we're getting more power, more torque. This is a great upgrade for either a 4-cylinder TJ or a straight 6. How does it work underwater?
I don't know. We'll find out. I think a lot of that will depend on how good a job we do waterproofing. You know, this isn't a mechanical engine, it's an electronic engine.
So there will be some computers running this engine because it's a common rail. We are gonna seal all that stuff up or put it in an airtight container. Let's put it in there.
All right.
Whoa! So this is the plan. We put the engine in. The motor mounts on the engine does not line up with the 4-cylinder motor mounts. However, the motor mounts on the engine may line up with the 4-liter 6-cylinder motor mounts, which are on the frame. This frame is for a 4-cylinder, so we're gonna pull the engine out, cut the stock motor mounts off, clean up the frame, and build something new to hold the Cummins in Tube Sock. In order to bolt this engine up to the transmission and transfer case in the Jeep, we're gonna need some adapters. This has a SAE type bell housing, and this is the transmission we're gonna use. The 4-cylinder engine had a smaller transmission. That was an AX5. This is Steve from Advanced Adapters. What transmission are we putting in now?
We have a new Venture 3550. We're going to put it in place because we know the AX5 wasn't going to stay together. Plus, we've got to have an Atlas because TubeSock needs an Atlas.
Well, the AX5 that wasn't here had a low gear set in the transfer case, but that transfer case and that transmission would not hold up to this engine, and that transfer case doesn't bolt to the 3550. Now, the 3550 and the AX15 are kind of the middle ground transmission that would go in a TJ.
They're very similar transmissions. They're so similar, they actually use the same bell housing.
So if somebody had a 4-liter TJ and they wanted to put the Cummins in, they could probably keep their manual transmission and whatever transfer case they have.
Yes.
But because we had a 4-cylinder, we're replacing everything, we're starting fresh. We'll keep our axles, but everything above the axles is getting changed in the drivetrain compartment. Now, we have 2 flywheels.
Yes, sir.
One of the flywheels came with the engine. The other flywheel is off of a 4-liter.
Yes.
So we're gonna actually run both of them. How are we gonna make all this work?
Well, what we started off with, we have a ring here that'll go on the back of our engine.
Okay.
And now, that now has a 4-liter Jeep bolt pattern.
So that'll bolt to this.
Bolts directly up to this. We'll have the factory flywheel bolted onto the Cummins engine. Then we'll have another adapter that looks just like a 4-liter crankshaft. The 4-liter crankshaft will bolt right up. So it'll be a factory AX15 clutch, the flywheel, hydraulics, everything will make this a really simple swap when replacing a 4-liter.
Let's put all this stuff together and put it in the Jeep. So back to work, just like 15 more things to do. 100 more things to do. Whenever I do tires, I bring them here to America's Tire, which is right down the street from my shop. They have shops all over the place, and their discount tire line is also all over the place. And you can order this stuff online if you want. So these are Maxxis Trepidors. These are one of my favorite tires. They're super gnarly. See how big the lugs are on the side? These are a bias ply tire. They offer a competition compound that's super sticky, but even the street compound, which this is still really pliable. When they flex out, they get a lot of traction on the edges. See how these are a V, kind of a chevron style? You need to make sure you put 2 of them on the right side and 2 of them on the left side so that one of your tires isn't running backwards. TubeSock is going back together. We have the Cummins engine in, the NV3550 transmission is in. It's all adapted together, new motor mounts, new cross member. Our Atlas transfer case is in there. We're gonna bring it back out once, fill it up with oil, seal it all up with run the vent lines, and bolt that back in. Steve has been going over the entire engine. You can see here all of the little connectors. He has taken them apart, put dielectric grease in there, put them back together, and then marked them with a blue paint pen. So we know that every connector has been packed full of grease, which will help seal out moisture. We bolted the grill back in. This is a brand new 4-liter radiator. We're gonna run the 4-liter radiator because in most cases we think guys will be going from a 4-liter to this Cummins, and we wanna be able to try and figure out which hoses. We also are gonna run our intercooler pipe over here. It'll actually run over the top of the engine. This is not optimal for off-road use or highway use, but for what we're doing when we're driving underwater, we're not even gonna put an intercooler in, we're just gonna run a piece of tubing over to dump from the turbo to the inlet. So we're gonna figure out some hoses, a lot of hoses. We gotta figure out all of our hoses for vents and coolant and everything else that needs a hose. Good morning, Rob.
Good morning, Fred.
I got a bunch of stuff from Summit. We got all these silicone Mishimoto elbows to plumb the intercooler pipe. We're not actually gonna have an intercooler, and the intake snorkel and the exhaust snorkel. It's Thursday. We're driving underwater on Tuesday.
How tall is snorkel gotta be?
Snorkel's gotta be somewhere between 15 and 18 feet because the water's somewhere between 12 and 13 feet. We want a little bit of, it should be at least 14 feet. So the way this is gonna work, this is a little CO2 tank. This is a little pneumatical switch. Normally the ARB air lockers have an air compressor. We're gonna use this power tank. It's gonna plumb into this system. You'll flip a switch, it'll send power to both lockers. They'll be locked up. Trepidors will dominate underwater terrain. Jeep will pull right through the pond. Brah. This is Fred's magical box of plumbing.
Box of leftover crap from other builds.
From 7 other projects.
This box is probably worth like $2,000 and just, it's junk.
There's 2,000. There's probably $10,000.
30 bucks, 40 bucks. Each one of these is crazy expensive.
This is our fuel tank. It's only 5 gallons, but that's all we're gonna need. This is a vent for the fuel tank so that as the fuel level goes down, it can suck air in. This vent hose will all run all the way to the top of the snorkel. We are tying the exhaust snorkel, to the rock slider. We use some high temp silicone on the 2 flanges, the V-band flange at the engine. It runs out, comes straight out here. We're gonna run a 13 or 14 foot pipe here. That should give us enough clearance to drive underwater. This is roughly 3 feet off the ground. We don't have the front tires on, so we're not exactly sure. So whatever we add to this should get us above the water. There's a little bushing in there so it can move with the engine. But the idea here is that this part is super solid, stays with the Jeep. When we get to the lake, we can drop this part on. It'll flange over that, bolt tight. We'll put a little arm here to hold the pipe, and then that'll be super solid, and then we will do the same with our intake snorkel. In-orkel, out-orkel. Those are technical terms. You can write those down. Look them up on the Google.
Well, we're just finally wrapping up the wiring here, mocking up the grounds so we can put the body grounds on when the fenders are done. Once the fender's on, battery tray's in, make the battery cables to the starter, and out here we're done wiring. Getting close, finally.
So this is our snorkel, 3-inch tube. Our inlet is a 3.5-inch OD. We were able to modify this piece of 3-inch tubing. We're gonna put a little leg right here to support it, and probably bolt it to the body here. And then when we are ready to go underwater, we'll actually have a second piece that slides over it, much like the exhaust. We have coolant, we have fuel, we have battery. Ready?
Ready.
Press the pedal. That's pretty cool.
Battery voltage, the alternator's working. Oil pressure is 44 pounds. It's now 90 degrees.
Snorkel made. We have a handful of things to finish up, but for the record, TubeSock is ready to go underwater. We have giant snorkels, we have super aggressive Maxxis tires, we got a little Cummins diesel under the hood. I think we have plenty of gearing between our Atlas transfer case, our manual transmission, and our Curry axles. Our ARB air lockers are gonna work. It's manual steering, so we don't have to worry about any steering issues. We don't have windshield wipers, so hopefully we can see through the windshield. You know, it'll probably get clean underwater. And I'm certified to go scuba diving. So pretty much this time next week, it will all be said and done. The Jeep will either be a hero or sitting in the bottom of a pond. So here's the plan, Rob. We're gonna go in the water here. We're gonna come out of the water straight over there. There's a bit of grass, so we'll probably have to four-wheel our way through that. I'm gonna put you in this canoe, and the scuba system has a microphone in it, so you can hear me screaming when whatever sea creature underneath there tries to devour me. You're pretty much geared up.
Yeah, I have my mandals on and my board shorts.
What else do you need? I've got my really awesome new TubeSock t-shirt, and I'm gonna put on my wetsuit and dive in. It looks kind of cold.
It's kind of cold and windy.
I'm getting nervous.
Very exciting. Looks like a tractor. Now it looks like he's sinking. Hey Fred, how's the bottom? Is it soft? It looks soft. Because you're not moving, Fred. Just a heads up. It might look like you're moving, but you're not moving. I think it's a little muddier on the bottom than we had originally hoped.
Our Fred's been in for 4 minutes, which is good. It's still running. At this point, I don't see it stopping, so he just needs to keep moving.
Maybe Fred thinks he's moving. Fred! Fred? Can't tell if he's trying to back up. Fred, you got a copy? Is he good?
It's still running.
It's still running.
Look,
20 minutes in, it's still running.
This is great.
He must know he's not moving, right? It's a small pond.
"40 minutes. We only had about 2.5 gallons of fuel in there, and he's been on the throttle pretty heavy. We'll see. Hopefully he doesn't run out of fuel before he gets to the other side, or at least out of the water."
How we doing? I have an update. Fred is not moving, and he wants to be pulled out from the back. Come on, little tube sock. Hey, Fred! Oh, here we go. Woo! Woo! There it is! It's back to a Jeep. It's not a boat anymore.
All right, we built a Jeep that drives underwater. Doesn't go very far, but it does not stop. Well, it doesn't, maybe stops moving, but it doesn't stop running. That was the craziest thing I've done in a long time. I went in, and within 40 seconds, I think all the dust started clearing. And so that made me think I was driving up to the top. Then I thought maybe I just lost my bearings and I was just in there doing circles. And I was like, I hope they come down and tell me if I'm doing circles down here.
Was it worth it?
Oh yeah, totally. You didn't think we were gonna end it like that, did you? We found a brand new, nice clean pond. Tube Sock's got his snorkel. Rob's in the lake. Let's do this one more time. Okay, I'm gonna try and start this thing.
Fred's suiting up. Fred's rolling in. This is getting exciting again. Working so much better than last time. I think it's the whole man-made concrete pond thing that makes it better. Can you see me? Because I can see you super clear. Anyone on the dive team have a copy? Fred needs you to close the hood. The hood flipped up. You would think, like, of all the issues to have, latching the hood down closed would be not one we would have. Your Jeep is backing up. You know you're backing up, right? Oh, we're making progress. Hood's down. I see. Awesome. Don't crash into me. Perfect. This actually could have been a race this time. Yeah, you're halfway. Do you see me right above you?
Keep going straight.
Kinda, you're getting a little off course to the left. You want to turn right. Give her a little bit of right rudder. Keep going right. Keep going passenger. Or starboard. Oh yeah, looking good, fella. Yay! Woo! Come on, that's exciting! Woo! Woohoo!
We just drove a Jeep underwater. That was awesome! It was so warm in there. There's mermaids swimming around. Just like a normal Jeep, my hood blew open. I had to get a mermaid come and close it for me. That's it for Dirt Every Day. We'll see you next time. Woohoo! If you like this episode of Dirt Every Day, you can watch the next episode live right now on MotorTrendOnDemand.com. This week on Dirt Every Day, it's Cheap Truck Challenge. Every year we do Cheap Truck Challenge. It's our week of battling against the budget. We get a cheap vehicle and we build it up to show you guys how to go four-wheeling on a budget. We're gonna do a few simple things, take it out, have a good time with it, see what we break, see what holds together, and show you guys how to have a good time on a nickel and dime. Oh my God, oh, oh wow. Watch the latest episode of Dirt Every Day right now on Motor Trend On Demand. This is a bad idea. Is the water really going to be that deep? Oh my goodness. This is a dumb idea. Whose idea was this? Which camera do I talk to?
All right, go for it.